Guys, a little story about love and how the combination of oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin shaped my entire career as a health professional. Okay, so to tell this story properly, we need to go back about 11 years when I was in the midst of going through puberty. Now, I don't know for you guys, puberty for me was horrible. I kept on getting confused between love and lust and love. Regardless of that, I was adamant that I was in love with this individual. This individual, had gorgeous hair. Every time she walked in the room, her smile just lit up the entire classroom. But there was an issue. My best friend also had the hots for her. So, boys will be boys. The competition was on to see who could win her over. Now, I looked at my strengths and his weaknesses, and I realised I was a lot healthier than he was. So I took it in my stride to enrol into an advanced diploma in Ayurvedic medicine at the age of 15. Now, I remember my first day of this course as if it was yesterday. And I was the youngest in the class by about 20 or 30 years, and I was the only male, and I sat down. And I didn't even know how to say the word Ayurveda. I didn't even know what Ayurveda was. For those of you who don't know what Ayurveda is, Ayurveda translates to the knowledge of life, the science of life. It's the traditional medical system of India. Now, after finishing this qualification after 3 years, I graduated as the youngest Ayurvedic herbalist in Australia. And it was at that moment that I realised that complementary medicine and helping others wasn't just my passion. It was so much more than that. It was my purpose in life. It was the reason that I'm going to wake up every day with this passion and this desire to help others. So from there, I went on and I enrolled into a Bachelor of Nutritional Medicine. And about 2/3 of the way through this degree, I stumbled across an advert for a research internship here in Sydney. Now remember, this is a story about love, and at this current time, I was trying to avoid love, and so I needed an out. And this research opportunity here in Sydney kind of gave me that out. So I applied for it, thinking, there's no way at all I would actually get it. But to my own surprise, not only was I accepted into this research project, out of the 100 applicants that applied to do this research project here in Sydney from across Australia, I ranked number 1. That just blew me away. And so with that knowledge of understanding that, I managed to achieve that, I dedicated 60 hours a week for about 3 months here in Sydney researching. We wrote a paper entitled Diet, Digestive Health and Autoimmune Disease, the Foundations to an Autoimmune Disease Food Pyramid. Now, within this paper, we actually proposed that the development and exacerbation of an autoimmune disease has got 4 major modifiable risk factors. Now, these include dysbiosis, which is the imbalance of bacteria within the gut, inflammation, immune dysregulation, and finally, increased intestinal permeability, also known as leaky gut. Now, intestinal permeability, for those who aren't familiar, is when the cells of the intestines will actually open up, allowing food antigens, dietary lipopolysaccharides to stimulate inflammation, causing immune dysregulation and a cascade of events. Knowing this sparked my interest in research, so I partook and I did my honours, where we actually investigated what practitioners actually prescribe for this medical condition and the conditions that they associate with it. Our final conclusion of the thesis was that practitioners aren't actually using a medically recognised method to diagnose this particular condition. They're actually relying on a non-validated method. So that kind of brings us to my PhD. My PhD actually aims to develop and validate a screening tool to identify this intestinal permeability based on 4 major domains. They are patients' signs and symptoms, their medical history, their physical attributes, and their diagnosed conditions. So fingers crossed that that all works out. At the moment, as Andrew mentioned, I work over at UTS as a research assistant, and for the last 3 months I've done a number of different projects. I've written a couple of book chapters on pregnancy and herbal medicine use, stroke prevention, and food sensitivities. And on top of all of that, I'm a busy person, I run my own business where I see clients and treat them using nutrition and herbal medicine, and it's an online business. So I see clients, for instance, I've got clients this week in regional Australia, in Perth, and then over in the States as well. This is just one story, this is just one journey. We all have our own stories to say and how we actually got here, sitting at this table, studying the things that we do. But what's very important, which I want to touch on briefly when I have your attention, is something called integrative medicine. So integrative medicine is where we use the best from complementary medicine and conventional medicine, and using them combined has actually been shown to be supportive of patient care. So it's very important while you're here at UTS to actually understand what everyone else is studying, understand their strengths, and realise in the future where you can actually collaborate with one another to support not only your own career, but the health of everyone here in Australia and then also across the world, fingers crossed. I'll leave you on one quote, a quote that resonates with me quite a lot, and it goes like this. It goes, "Luck is when preparation meets opportunity, so prepare for any opportunity you're given with." Thank you.